Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Bridget Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko. All right. We're back. What's going on? Hi.
Not much. How's it going?
It's going good. To our listeners, we are trying something different today. We've got a different platform that we're using for recording. So if you hear some tech issues, just chalk it up to that, okay? And we're just going to move forward. That's it. The other thing is today's going to be a little bit different. We had an episode a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about tech stack, like literally deciding on what software your company would use, and realized we didn't give any recommendations as to specific technology that even we use. It was more like, this is where your brain should be when thinking about it. And we got some people asking questions. And we were like, you know what? We should just do an episode where we give our recommendations of our favorite technology and what we use, software, hardware, and different things to run our business. And things that we see our clients using for certain industries, et cetera. Potentially we'll go down that route too. But so we'll hit that up in a second. Anything big going on with you, Bridget?
So we're gearing up. This will obviously air afterwards, but gearing up for, the last big holiday weekend of the summer, Labor Day weekend. So we've just kind of been getting stuff around. I still find it's very hard for me to go for an extended weekend places because I am a workaholic and I feel like I lose momentum on the things that I'm really invested in. And it's really hard to leave my normal office setup where I feel like I get so much done. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a nice weather weekend here in Michigan. So we'll take it. And outside of that, I think I wrote 4 new client proposals this week. So
hot. That's awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. Obviously if you're listening, today is probably something like middle of September, like somewhere around the 17th. And we're talking about Labor Day. So we bank these a couple weeks out, et cetera, because life is busy. So we do that. So about the time this comes out, I think tomorrow is when I'm doing my first webinar. So I'm talking about this in the past as if it's right now. So this is like a weird thing right here, trying to get my brain around temporal time shifts. So that webinar should be tomorrow. Okay. It's September 18th. We're doing our first webinar, and it is on how you calculate and actually create a realistic marketing budget. So many times we've worked with clients or they come to us like, hey, I've only got X dollars, but I want to shoot for the moon. And it's just not going to happen. We can't do that. You want $1 million in revenue, but you got $500 a month for marketing. I can't help you do that fast that way, or well for that matter. And so it's how do you look at what you have and calculate something that's actually going to help you hit your goals. So that's what we are putting together right now, and it should be happening tomorrow. So we'll put that in the show notes, or you can hit up mypocketmarketing.com. We have a webinar section now on the website. It's already live. Fancy. So it's been there for a month at this point, but it's there. So that's kind of exciting. I'm nervous and excited about it because I'm not sure how many people are going to be there. It's the whole perfectionism thing, the imposter syndrome and whatnot. So it is more like a workshop type of webinar. We're also going to explore some mistakes that we see clients make when approaching budget. So a lot of good stuff in there that should help definitely smaller growing companies, make sure they do it right from the start.
The thing about webinars is, even if you don't have what you expect for people coming to it, everyone that you do gets you better and better anyway. And it's it's informational pieces in your arsenal that you can always share with people. So, I've had a mix on the webinars that we've started doing. Some have been more than I expected, and others I'm oh, okay, we have 2 people showing up today. But I don't know. I take all of it as just great learning, and it all just makes me better in the long run. So good luck. It's going to be great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I mean, if it goes horribly, I just hope there's a couple of good clips I can pull out, that are like, yeah, that's some solid gold. Let's reshare that, but not the whole thing,
It's not going to go horrible.
I know it won't. I know it won't. That's just the imposter in me.
Yep.
So yeah, like we were saying today's a little different. We're going to share our top tech in various categories. So I hope this doesn't come across as super tedious, but I know a lot of times, we come in, and this is stemming from that past episode where, especially when we come in, somebody's like using their Gmail account to do email marketing and do email newsletter blasts. And it's like big no-no. Other things are like they're using like a free website builder. And then they're like, why can't we do this awesome marketing stuff? And it's because we can't put the tech in there because it doesn't let us. And so we were just like, we had all these recommendations about how to think about your technology. Let's go and actually talk about what technology we actually use. So we've got your basic categories that we're going to hit on first. I say basic. It's like the most important, honestly. It's wouldn't you say, Bridget, it's like the day-to-day stuff?
Yeah. Like when we were coming up with this list, I'm like, what do you absolutely need to have an actual successful business? So we tried to order this in like somewhat of an importance level. So yeah.
So looking forward to that. And then we get into like more specific categories around, specifically for marketing and other things around accounting, timekeeping, task management. We even, I've got some recommendations on antivirus, et cetera, because of my time in IT, video recording, AI. We'll talk about what we use for AI and how we, which ones we use and why, and we'll go from there. So let's just take it from the top. Here we go. Yeah. First off, productivity software, just your office suite, as it used to be called. A lot of people aren't in offices anymore. So I am a huge fan of Google Workspace. I think you are too, right?
I'm going to second that. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I have, before I talk more about Google Workspace, I have totally used O365. I've used Outlook. I've been in Microsoft Teams. It's not bad. Okay. Like if you had to use it, like you're in a good place. Okay. Like that's awesome. If you're really big on those software suites, you really like those programs and how they work, because they are a little bit different. That's awesome. I'm just very partial to Google. It was kind of that new kid on the block like 20 years ago, and we just ran with it. I love the online syncing, the being able to share, the permissions. I think that all exists in O365 as well.
But I don't think it's as easy. And I'm actually saying this from the place that I like went through college and I learned on the like Office side of things, right? The Microsoft Suite side of things. So I learned so much of my accounting using Excel spreadsheets and like all of that side that I was like, I can never, ever figure out the Google side. I was so reluctant for a while and I was like, Sheets is awful. Like, what is this? And so I'm a converted Google fan. I love it so much better than Microsoft. There was a learning curve. But at the end of the day, the ease of that and, just the way that it manages everything so flawlessly. Huge Google fan.
I'll say from an administrative level, coming from IT, like if you're a type of business owner that is DIYing a lot and you're doing the management, you don't have an IT partner, most likely you don't because you're not, big enough and everything, where you don't justify it. I think Google is much easier on that administrative back end, adding users, giving them the permissions that they need, turning off apps and software pieces. It's just like, if you're never going to use the calendar, you can turn that off for everybody. I don't know why you do that, but if you're never going to use, chat, you can turn off that feature for everyone or turn it on or whatever that is. You can even control how documents are shared. Can you share it outside the organization or not? And while those same features exist in O365, I've always found it much harder, almost like you had to be a server coder. And like back in the day when it was Exchange servers and everything, I feel like a lot of that still exists in that platform. So it makes it just a little bit more difficult. I'm saying this not having been in it for, say, the last 3 years. It may have gotten much simpler. So like I said, it's a very close second for me. If I couldn't have Google, I'd be in O365 because I don't know of anything that's as robust. You have access everywhere. So I think that one's pretty simple for us here. I'm not going to go. I don't think we need to talk about that one much anymore. Yeah. No.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm going to. Google Sheets, I think, is caught up to Excel. I think there's presentations, with PowerPoint. Like, I think everything's on par at this point. So, okay, cool. Now I'm done. Yeah, I'm done there. This next category, I think this is super important. I have been trying to put together a course on internet security management for companies. And it's so complex that I haven't yet because it's so complex. But at the very basic level is password management. We have used 2 in our time. We are currently on Dashlane. And I will share the one we used before and why we switched, but we're currently on Dashlane.
So we're in LastPass, which has a lot of question marks around it because they've had some security breaches previously. And Keeper is the other one that is a very highly recommended password management tool. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure of experiencing Keeper on any level. The platform we were with before was LastPass. And it was just one too many breaches for me. And so it was literally like, I forget when it was, 6-8 months ago, they had a breach and it was like, I'm done. Immediately that day, migrated everyone to Dashlane. I will say Dashlane is a little more onerous. There's like that security level is way more strict than LastPass, which I think is what you want in a password manager. And when I say way more strict, I mean like if you're on your mobile phone trying to get access to a password, you have to put in your master password like 4 times. Like just the way you go back and forth and fill things in is really annoying. Granted, when you're on a mobile device, usually you're logged into apps and you don't get logged out very often. So it's not that big of a deal. But the browser plugin and the desktop app for Dashlane is great. The 2-factor that they employ and everything. Sharing is really super simple. Same with licensing. Just adding people, removing people. I mean, I haven't had an issue with it whatsoever.
I do use Keeper with one of my other clients. And if I were to make a switch, I would move to Keeper. Some of the IT professionals that I've worked with have said that LastPass has gotten much better. I think they actually ended up getting, and don't quote me because I didn't look this up, but they might have gotten bought by somebody or something happened during that last thing and they've made their back end better. But we are certainly considering the switch, but we have a hard policy in our company that we can't use our password management on our phones at all. We don't do anything client related from our phones. So that does help some, just if it stays logged in, it's not even there. So, yeah.
Actually, so to your point, LastPass just recently became their own company. So it was this year. Yeah, it was GoToMeeting that bought them like in 2008 or whatever. And this year they're spinning themselves out as an independent company. Which is both good and bad. The good thing is that if there was any tech debt or poor compliance, et cetera, that came from leadership at GoToMeeting, now that they're a standalone independent, they get to set their own standards and they're not stuck to whatever culture existed before, so they can improve. But at the same time, going independent, now there isn't a larger organization holding them accountable to something. Sure. But again, I mean, a lot of these companies are standalone anyway, so that's not really a big deal. I know others tell me like, yeah, the fact that they had those breaches means that they're stronger than everybody else because the others haven't had them yet. And it's just like, maybe, I don't know.
That's why I said it's one with question marks. Like,
yeah, it's a weird mindset. I don't know. I think there's something around like the fact that these breaches have happened means something. There were signals of something and it was missed. Now, again, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't want to get sued or say anything. A lot of smart people work all over there. But for me, one too many times. So we're in Dashlane and it's been wonderful. So that's a solid one.
Cool.
I know I've also heard of OnePass, but I think that's more like a Mac thing only. I don't know anybody that uses it for business. So I think it's more of a personal keeper. But the one thing I recommend is do not store passwords in browsers. They've gotten better.
Oh.
Yeah. I know they've gotten better, but they used to store the passwords as just text files. I don't know if you knew that.
Yep.
Like until about 5-6 years ago, Chrome literally stored all of its passwords in a text file on the computer somewhere. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't anything. Now they're at least encrypted. But the fact that it's so new to browsers and everything, I'm just not there, So I highly recommend.
And if you have a hack for turning it off to ask every single time you make a new login, I'd love to know.
Totally. Yeah. No, you can totally turn it off.
Always comes up. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can totally turn it off. Yeah. Yeah. I'll show you afterwards.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Hopefully we get through these a little faster because these are the basic ones. Phone service, business phone service specifically. What are you using?
We use Google Voice, so we're on a free account. I don't know. We were kind of questioning before we started this episode if it's still able to be free. I do believe one of my coaching students just was able to do that. And I put this with a star next to it, that you can't get a free one if you're on the business side. It's part of that. It's not a free option. But if you set it up under a Gmail account, you can. So right now, and I didn't do this intentionally. Mine was originally set up under Gmail, got the free Google Voice. My team has access to it so they can log in and text our clients and see all the messages coming in and listen to all the voicemails and make the phone calls. But you cannot ever migrate that number over to a business side. So we've learned that.
I know so many businesses that we work with. Instead of paying for professional email, get a free Gmail account. And I know that they have Google Voice and they're using that for the business. Question becomes when they mature enough, like you were saying, to now, oh no, we're going to go to the business side, standardize. I can't move that number over to the business account. It's in this free consumer account forever.
Yeah.
And those work differently. You're not guaranteed a lot of stuff over there. So yeah.
So far it's fine. We'll live with it and hopefully it stays fine forever.
Right. Same. So we're also in Google Voice. We use that. And luckily enough, we got grandfathered into a free voice account on our business account. So we've had it for so long that we got into it when it was free. So we're still using it because we don't need any of the new tech features right now. But what is cool about Google Voice, which falls into the category of VoIP, voice over IP, internet protocol, it's that category of phone service. It has the same stuff as bigger systems. So if you needed the phone attendant where it's press 1 for this, press 2 for this, it can do that. If you're larger, where you have a sales team where you need a round robin, where it just sends the call to a different person or a tech team, it's just if one person doesn't pick up, it goes to the next person. If that person doesn't pick up, and it keeps going around that circle, that way you don't miss a call, or your current customers get the support they need. Those features do exist in Google Voice. So depending on the type of business, that can be beneficial. From my IT days, 2 other platforms that I know have worked really well were Dialpad and Ring Central. And we use those a lot. For clients that had large teams, but they didn't want to get everybody a cell phone or a cell phone plan. So the reason a lot of companies do VoIP or soft phone, as they're called, is because you can just get an app on your current phone and any calls that come in will ring your normal phone. And so everybody has the personal phones and then bam, it hits that. The other cool thing is not only will it ring that cell phone with the app, but you can actually put a hardware phone on a desk and have that programmed to be that number. So people, if you're in an office with a desk, there can be a physical phone for them to pick up that is that number without having to use their cell phone. So it's really neat how those things are possible.
Quick note, when you mentioned the whole VoIP thing, not often do we run into this issue, but we have run into it. Some of the 2-factor authorizations will not allow it to go to a VoIP line. So we've kind of ran into that a couple of times with Google Voice. but not very frequently. And there's some banks that won't allow that too. So just a heads up.
I will say one thing I love on that front, but reverse, that I really love about Google Voice is that feature because you get the screening. I have the screening turned on, or maybe that's automatic now. But so anybody who calls me, it asks them, "Who are you?" Say your name, and I get to hear it before I even answer it. So that's really cool. And also, I can also answer it more personally, because I've heard who it is. It's like, oh man, Tom, hey, what's going on? Hey, it's Dan, what's up? So it's really cool. Like that piece, maybe it's annoying to the caller a little bit, but I like it on my end.
I've actually asked some of my clients, like, hey, does it really annoy you to have to give your name before you get to us? And they've all liked it because they know that cool. Like we know who's coming to them. Nobody's had pushback. So but I
that's
do love
awesome.
That
that's cool to hear. I haven't asked that yet. I've just kind of assumed that it was cool. I should ask that. I mean, they do it, right? They all do it. I mean, every single one of my clients that calls me gives the name, and it's really cool. They're like, oh, hey, Selma, thanks for calling. What's up? How can I help you? It's really cool.
I'm going to start calling yours and just putting random names in it.
Do it. I'll still know your voice.
Dang it.
There's still caller ID, Bridget. The other thing I love about Google Voice, and I think others have this too, but it's the spam filtering, both on text message as well as voice. If Google picks up on signals that it's a number or coming from a location that is nefarious, it'll just take it right to spam or straight to your voicemail. And so you don't even have to deal with your phone ringing all the time. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So I think this next one, if we're moving on, we can probably spend a little less time on it because I think we talked about this during the episode.
Right.
So accounting, bookkeeping side.
There we go. Yeah. I have 2 recommendations here, and that's it. But why don't you go first? It's your domain.
No, I think you're going to have the same recommendations that I would. So, I mean, our main software choice is QuickBooks Online. If you go listen to the episode that we've hinted to, I've talked about my love-hate with them. So you can go listen to that if you please. But at the end of the day, they have one of the strongest accounting platforms to do everything that you need to do. And I think the one that you're going to mention is a free, or was a free option. It now has a small fee. But Wave apps is a very good alternative if you don't want to be on QuickBooks. Just know it's limiting to how far you can grow with it.
Yeah, no, those are exactly my 2. We're in QuickBooks because we've gotten a little more complicated, but Wave is where we started. They do still have the starter plan at $0, so they only charge you when you're accepting payments, but you don't get access to certain things. So that free account doesn't get auto import for bank statements. It doesn't get auto merging. Like a lot of the AI or the learning stuff is not there on that starter plan. So if you're a very, very small company, the free account may be a good place to start, so you can start sending invoices and getting all of that. But
I love that they do still have that option.
Yeah. That's cool that they still have it, because for small companies, great place to start and Launchpad. But I'm glad to be in QuickBooks. Yes, there are. I'll agree, or at least state that a lot of stuff that bugs me about it. The number one thing for me is how they advertise their own stuff within the platform when you're paying for it. Like in the platform, you're in it doing accounting and you get a pop-up, or there's an ad on the page for another service. And it's just, to me, it's mind-boggling. You have my email me. I don't need to see it within the platform, but it just does so much stuff you need. And I don't know of another platform as good as it. So I'm not, there's no argument as to where to go. So those are the 2.
So a side note on QuickBooks, if you want to save money on that subscription, if you partner with a pro advisor, you can get if the pro advisor will offer it to you, you can get a lifetime discount as long as your subscription is under them. Or pro advisors also have a starter plan that we now can offer. It's called Ledger, and it's a much cheaper option for new businesses starting out. So I would highly recommend, if you're looking at using QuickBooks, try to get a referral link from a pro advisor. I can even drop mine in the show notes if we want, so that others can use it. It doesn't mean you have to use us for services, but you can use my pro advisor discount.
That's cool. That's really cool. I have something coming up later, kind of like that too, actually.
Cool.
All right, let's go on. So if somebody's using another accounting bookkeeping software, let us know. I know they exist. I know about a few of them, but have no experience in them. And so not going to recommend them because I don't know their communities, their development base. That's why we're recommending these that we recommend, because we know the community that's around them and the support. So everything we mentioned so far has got really, really strong communities. If we ever recommend something that's going to be fringe or whatever, we'll tell you in this whole list. But these are our favorite tech platforms. So I want to move into websites because I just feel like there's so many people out there that there's so many clients we've come across that have used, and I've already said this, have used those like free website builders or really, really cheap website builders and then hit a roadblock because they can't do more. One of those in particular is the GoDaddy website builder. They have one that they built. I am not a fan. It is just lacking in features, in normal features. So my number one pick is WordPress for websites. It's been around forever. It's a solid platform. There's a huge community of people that use it, develop for it. There's just so many add-ons that are called plugins that have been created that are premium. They're very, very high quality, secure. They're updated weekly, if not daily sometimes, and really help to enrich that whole ecosystem. Plus, it's not just websites. WordPress, or the company behind it, or the organization Automatic, has also created WooCommerce for e-commerce. They've created Jetpack that does what is like caching security and other pieces, which is a mixed bag. I'm not going to say use it, but it's there. They've also done their own website hosting, WordPress.com, which I honestly don't really recommend. I could talk about hosting actually in a bit. Finding a good host is so important for SEO. Finding a host that can really keep your site up, your load time fast, are so important. One I recommend there is Flywheel. It's kind of our exclusive. We've used them all, from HostGator to Bluehost to DreamHost to where else? OneMotion or One in Motion or InMotion hosting. That's it. We've used all those like budget ones, and they're just not good. You have to do a lot of work to maintain them and make sure your website is up and the hosting is up to date. Not even the website, just the server it's on. You have to do your own management of the servers. We run businesses. We're not IT server techs. So, but
I was going to say that might be great for a minute if you can like limp your way through it. But as you grow, that's going to be the last thing you want to be spending your time on.
Yeah, I mean that's where we were. We were on one of those that I mentioned, and we ended up. It wasn't even a lot of websites. It was like 15, 20, and it was just like this is stupid. I'm spending more time managing the server than I am doing work for clients, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm totally out. And so Flywheel takes care of all of that. It's specifically for WordPress. And they have all the daily backups, your caching for faster load times. They do malware scans regularly and will clean stuff for you for free. And yeah, a whole ton more. So yeah, really, really cool. Now WordPress does have a drawback because of those plugins and third-party software. You do have to update it regularly. There are actual software pushes that come out, and you manually take care of those, which is very different than some other platforms, which may come up in a second. But it's just such a feature-rich environment, a lot of customization. You can really create your brand in the home online and build what you want. That's where my money's at for all of that. It's WordPress, day in, day out.
Boom. That's what I'm on, so I can't say. Yeah, and this is not my forte. So listen to Dan, and I'm going to stay in my lane. And
I know a few others. Okay, so somebody's going to say, "What about Squarespace?" It's like, yeah, that's great. That's fine. I would also put that in a basic box, mostly because if you're looking to do some serious marketing tracking, where it's like if you want to know where your money is being spent, you may have some difficulty with Squarespace. They do some weird things where, like, if you use UTM codes or stuff in your URL, they'll just drop it randomly. And then also sometimes it just doesn't work. And because of the way they set up their site, you can't track everything the whole way through, even though it's your site the whole way through. It's very weird. So they tried to build their own analytics platform. It wasn't good. I don't think it's good still. So I just wouldn't recommend it. So again, basic site where you're just looking for features, but you're not tracking, that I think would work. If you're beyond that, no. I would, if you're e-commerce, I think Shopify is great. We're not a Shopify house, but I've seen some awesome stuff there, and I know you can track the whole way through. It's a solid platform. And then the other ones I've seen companies use are Wix, which is a mixed bag in my opinion. I know this is our top tech, and here I am talking about things that are not top tech. It's because I know somebody's got the question out there of like, what about Wix? Mm-hmm. I find it annoying because you have to build your desktop site, but then you have to build the mobile site, and it's not just auto generated for you. Whereas whenever we build anything with WordPress, we always build it in a way where it goes from mobile to desktop and desktop to mobile in an obvious way right from the start. In Wix, you pretty much have to build two different websites. And that's annoying. You know, you build the desktop one, you switch into mobile mode, but it only shows you the desktop stuff. And then you have to move everything around and change things. So it's this whole like extra step that is just annoying. And then the only features you can use in Wix are the ones that they kind of develop. I think they have some third-party tools in there, but that community isn't as large, which is why I don't really recommend it. Squarespace is only Squarespace. You can only use Squarespace things. There are no outside third-party tools. And then Weebly, Runaway.
I've heard some complain about Squarespace. Like once they've been in it, then they're like, oh, this is not what we need.
Yeah.
We hit these limitations.
Yeah. If you use like the Squarespace email tool, you can't get your emails out of there. Like for one, I've heard that was a big deal. Wix kind of had a similar thing. I don't know that it's true anymore because I think I migrated somebody out recently. And again, these features may have changed, very recently, but just some things, in terms of owning your stuff, owning your list, owning your customers. WordPress does it the best. You get access to everything. It's yours. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Our hosting is on DreamHost. I know you're
on DreamHost. Okay.
Yeah. I know you mentioned Flywheel, but we are on DreamHost.
Cool.
That's all I know.
I haven't used DreamHost in over a decade. Haven't used it in over a decade. I did have a couple, clients that were like diehard, and sure, didn't have a problem. But yeah, cool. Time task management. You know what? We skipped over one. Accounting, bookkeeping. We're going to talk about payroll.
Oh yeah.
This is huge. For any small company, payroll can be a major piece. So
I know that we're talking about our top recommendations, but I'm going to go down a similar route because I get asked all the time about QuickBooks Online payroll. Because if I'm recommending QuickBooks Online, wouldn't we use QuickBooks Online payroll? And my answer is run far away. And no, do not ever use QuickBooks Online payroll. And if they kick me out of Pro Advisor because I'm saying this, whatever. But I will say this is something that they do not do well at all. They do not have the support when something goes wrong. They do not have the staff that can fix it for you, and you can't fix it yourself. Your accountant can't fix it for you. So we do not recommend it at all, which is fine because there are many other payroll platforms that sync directly with QuickBooks. There isn't an issue with the integrations. Our top recommendation is Gusto or Gusto, however you want to pronounce it. I've asked them. They said it's pronounced either way, which is great because it was a non-answer.
Talk about not wanting to ruffle the community.
I know.
We don't care how you say it. Just be a customer. We don't care.
But for us personally, their customer service has been absolutely phenomenal. Like I can chat and get an answer. If there's tax issues, they look into it. The tax side can take a little bit of time because they're dealing with the state agencies and it's not always their fault for the delay, but they they have been really great to work with, and that's our top recommendation. They're also very affordable. So like they're not super expensive, and they handle it all. They'll file your tax forms for you. You don't have to think about it. If you get into one of their top tiers, they do HR management. They do all of your, onboarding employee forms. They can do all of your onboarding package for your employees. So it can be a one-stop shop depending on what package you choose. And that would be my top. I know some people use ADP. They can be very expensive. And I don't think they're bad. I just don't think they're probably the best solution for a small business. Then there's others, like you'll hear of Paychex and Paycor and whatnot. Small amount of experience with them, but same thing. Like I think they just have their limitations. They don't sync as well with some of the platforms. Gusto even has timekeeping right in it. So like it's just a great platform and definitely our top recommendation.
Cool. Moving on to one that's near and dear to my heart, task management or project management.
I would die without my task management.
Right? Me too. Oh my God.
This is what keeps me in line. And I don't know how I survived without it ever.
So, it doesn't matter the company you are. There's always tasks that you have to get done. I know, like I got task lists upon tasks lists. I used to use Trello back in the day. And that was great until we hit a certain level where I started to need data about what's going on across all the clients, and so we upgraded to Teamwork. It's a company out of Ireland, actually. At least I think it's Ireland. I'm pretty sure because everyone I talk to has got an Irish lilt. So I'm pretty sure. And yeah. It's exactly what you think. You've got projects for every client, different boards. You got different ways of looking at things. You can track time in terms of, how much time tasks are taking. It allows us to report on capacity. Like, does our team have time to do more, et cetera? I don't know. It's kind of real similar to, I think, what you use, Bridget, because you're on Asana, right?
Yep, we are. We are actually, and this is like a badge of honor right now for how great Asana is. We are a team of 5 plus a contractor with many clients and many projects, and we are still on their free version. We get phenomenal reporting. Like it took some time to set it up to get to where the free version worked, but totally worth it. And I can't say enough good things about the platform. I know it operates a lot like Monday, and I've seen some of your teamwork, and I think it's similar.
It's all
right?
similar, very similar. Yeah.
And I just want to note that when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I can manage the tasks and my to-do list and whatever. And it is amazing how quickly that overwhelmed your life. And I quickly was like, nope, I need something to remind me what I'm supposed to be doing every day. So,
for me, it's not even my tasks. It's like, I'm the project manager. So I delegate tasks out to the team. It's like, what are they working on?
Oh, yeah. Like I can log in and click on one of my team members and see their list for the day and be like, oh, where are we at with this? And I can see their status updates, or I can see when things are overdue so I can check in. 1,000,000% agree with you.
Yeah. What's cool about these two platforms, because I know Asana has it too, at least on the paid versions, is there's a lot of automation that you can put in place. So we've got automation rules all over the place of when a task gets marked complete, then it moves it into a totally different column and out of the way. Or if it gets dragged into the complete column, everything gets marked done. Or if it gets put into a review column, tasks get added onto it with people assigned to them so that, all this stuff just automatically happens so that whoever's project manager, which, for smaller businesses ends up being the owner or some ops director manager or something, they don't have to spend a lot of time in the platform doing busy work, I think, like just management tasks, and instead are actually doing work and driving value, which is really the big thing. Now, for us, those two platforms make sense because we are, I guess, task project oriented. Whereas there's a lot of industries that aren't, and I'm thinking about my clients, in residential cleaning or roofing or landscaping, et cetera. They have schedules where They have to send people in certain routes. So there's routing involved. Certain people want certain days of the week, et cetera, that literally have to get scheduled on a calendar. And I know that Asana and Teamwork don't do those things. And so for our clients, there's a couple of pieces I wanted to share. So for service-based businesses, there are some like industry specific. So if you're in roofing, there's like literally software for roofers. But a basic one, if you're smaller, Jobber, it has its flaws. I have issues with it on marketing, but there's ways around it with Zapier, et cetera. But Jobber is pretty decent. It even has some routing capabilities. So if you needed to schedule teams to go certain places, it'll do that and help do that automatically for you. And then in the residential cleaning industry, the big one that I see a lot is Made Central now. For them, I know there's some other smaller ones like ZenMade, and there's some older ones like Launch 27 and Customer Factor. I just don't recommend those so much. They're a little behind on some features and ease of use. So yeah, Jobber is kind of across the board for services.
House
and then
Call
Made
Pro
Central
is another one that we have.
I hear that one a lot. I haven't run into it yet,
use.
but I know it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Timekeeping. Now, when we put this on here, were you thinking timekeeping in terms of like payroll timekeeping, or timekeeping like just tracking how much time tasks take in projects specifically?
So my thought process was projects and tasks, because that data is so important. Timekeeping for people, like for us, like for payroll, kind of goes along with this anyway. Like we use the same report. So if you want to get paid, you got to check your project time.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I was going with this. And I can say for us, and I recommend this across my clients or whoever asks if they want something very free, like very easy and free. We use Toggle internally. It is only free up to 5 people. And Clockify is another one. It operates very similar. There is not a limit for how many people as of today. So those two are highly, like, they work very well. You can set up projects, you can set up tags, you can set up clients. So, you can kind of get as detailed or not that you want to, but I think it's so important to at least have a way to keep a pulse on how much time things are taking you. These also sync with Asana. So fun fact, if you sync them together, you can actually click the timer to start when you're in the task working on it.
Very nice.
It'll tag it to the client and everything. So for those that work in a similar industry, those are our two.
Gotcha. I've used both of those independently, but once we moved into Teamwork, it has all of those timers built in. I don't know that Asana does or not, but so we've got everything built right into Teamwork, and basically whenever you're working on a task, we just click start on the timer, and it ties that time to the task specifically, so we can run reports within Teamwork for how much are certain categories of tasks taking, how much time do certain clients take more than others, etc. So we do it all through Teamwork. Cool.
Nice.
This is a doozy of an episode, so totally get it if you need to pause and listen later, but we've got a few more categories left to go. I think this is going to go a bit faster now, but I want to talk about email marketing. I have 2 platforms. I've used, I think, about 20, and I'm not going to mention them all, and I'm not going to mention others than the ones I'm talking about. I highly recommend Keep. This is my number 1. Yes, we're Keep partners, but we're also, my second one is MailChimp. And we're also MailChimp partners and certified and that whole thing. But Keep is much more robust. It's faster. The automations are so amazing what you can do with them in Keep, and connected with other platforms to trigger emails and messages as well as SMS. That hands down for me, if it's a company that's serious about email marketing and automation, it's Keep. But if you're a smaller company, MailChimp could be a place to start. They do have a free level, but you don't get anything with that really. It's very manual the whole way. Point of note here is that Keep, you also get a discount with partners. And as we're a partner, what we can sell it to you for is less than the published price on the website. So I can get you those licenses for less than what they publish on the website than if you go directly, We don't even have to
Bonus.
work together. That's what's cool. So I just have to sell it to you. And so, yeah, that one's pretty cool. MailChimp doesn't do that. No discounts.
We were on MailChimp. We've moved over to ConvertKit. I love it so far. But this is also not fully my wheelhouse. So I just love the ease of how I could set up like funnels and other pieces in ConvertKit and even design. Like I just felt like, and it's probably just because I don't use it like you use it with MailChimp. Like I felt like it was much harder for me to get what I wanted to get set up. And I think it's just because I'm not in the platform all the time. I hear MailChimp all over. I know it's recommended all over, but for us, ConvertKit is where we're at.
Cool. So one of the big ones for marketing, graphics and design. I mean, there's so much that we put out on social or throw in emails, graphics, or you run some ads. The two that we use, Canva and Adobe Creative Suite. I know they're kind of like Adobe's been the leader in kind of the space forever. But there's just so much that you can only do with Illustrator or Photoshop, Lightroom, etc., that you can't do in Canva. So if you're looking to do a lot of, I guess the way to look at it is if you're looking to do a lot of original stuff that you're going to come up with, Adobe's the way to go if you actually have a designer on team. But if you're looking to just create things by putting together objects, like taking a stock photograph, maybe cutting a person out, putting in shapes and text, Canva is the way to go. And the cool thing about Canva is they give you a ton, and I think Creative Suite has this now too, but you get a ton of pre-made layouts. Actually, I know Adobe has this too. So a lot of the same stuff Canva does actually is in Adobe as well. So it's really, are you doing a lot of custom stuff from scratch, or are you looking to bring things together? Canva's great at that. I will say Canva and like Teams and delegating access and everything, especially if you're like sharing stuff with clients or another company, that gets tricky. I don't think they haven't figured that out yet. I will just say you can add people to your team pretty easily, but the moment it's like, for us at least, we share stuff with clients. If we needed to create like a folder or something to share with them, it gets really tricky. That's all. So down that front's a bit tricky, but most companies aren't going to deal with that whatsoever. So not really that big of a deal. But yeah, highly recommend Canva down that route.
I love Canva.
Social media management. Do you do much or have anybody on anything doing that? Yeah, no, we don't either. I'm going to mention a couple of platforms. We only use one of them right now. And otherwise we actually use the native platform, meaning that for Facebook, we log into Facebook and post on Facebook. We use their content scheduler to get stuff out onto Instagram and Facebook. We don't use another platform. Or if we were going to post to Twitter, X now, we go directly there, or TikTok, we go directly to TikTok. That's mostly because a lot of the social platforms, believe it or not, penalize you for using a third-party tool. And that's because they want the posts to feel like they are in the moment, rather than something that was created and then they're just being pushed out there. So it's not part of the current zeitgeist. It was made 3 weeks ago, you know. But I've used all four of these tools that I'm going to mention. One is called Later. The next is, which is just a scheduling software. Buffer is similar. And those two have tools that help you schedule things for the right time. Hootsuite's the one that's been around forever, and has similar scheduling tools, etc. The one that I've used most recently that I think is very interesting is called Meet Edgar. And what's interesting about Meet Edgar is that instead of scheduling, like, I want this post at this time and it never gets posted again, you actually create posts into category buckets and you schedule those categories on the calendar. And all it does is publishes whatever the next post is in the bucket at that time. And then that post goes to the bottom of the list. And so it goes through the whole list of posts in a bucket and then it repeats. So you could put, you know, you could have, I don't even know, but it's really neat because for me, having been a radio DJ in the past, I think about it like scheduling music. You don't want two very hot songs that are brand new back to back, and you don't want two old songs back to back. You also don't want two certain style songs back to back. So you put songs into buckets and create rules on when they play on the radio. It's the same thing with Meet Edgar. You create buckets of types of posts and topics, and then you put those on the calendar in a week, template in a certain order with rules, and then it just cycles through your posts. So you're always posting something. You don't always have to create something because you have this backlog of stuff you've created that's hopefully evergreen, and it just puts it out there for you, which is a neat concept.
Well, so you said it puts it back on the bottom of the list. So if you haven't refilled it, it will repeat the list again.
Correct. It'll repeat the post again.
So that's interesting because especially in the accounting world, but I think this would apply to other industries. There has been a huge discussion, and this, like that majority of people don't see your post the first time you make it. But there are seasons, and there's very much like, especially accounting world, like quarters where things are very important. And it's like, if we're resharing information that's pertinent during that time of the year, that, quarterly cycle, that's becoming really popular. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And now to hear that there's something that will actually manage that, that's huge.
Yeah, it's really cool. When I came across it, used it for the first time, I was just like, this is sweet. It just takes away so much pressure to always create something viral or new. And it's just like, no, sometimes they're just topics that are like, this just needs to be shared again. This was great the way it was. I don't always have to create something new. What it does in the end, honestly, is it allows you to focus more on what is that new, really awesome high value piece. You can actually spend more time getting that live video going, spend more time getting that carousel or multi-image post done that's timely. You can focus on those things more because there's always something going on. So it's a neat platform.
I like it.
But again, we don't use any of these right now. We literally go direct to the platform for everything. This next one is back from my IT days, antivirus. Very, very important. Everybody's computer tends to come with a free one that's pre-installed on your computer, whatever it is. If you're on Windows, it tends to be like McAfee or Norton, depending where you buy it or the manufacturer. Not worth it. There's one place that you need to go, and it's av-test.org. I'll put it in the show notes. And what this does is that it actually scores. They run tests on antivirus every year and multiple times a year. And they score the antivirus based on usability, protection level, and like, how does it impact the performance of your computer? And so there are a few that are always near the top that I really like. It's Avast, AVG, Avira, and Bitdefender. And all of those tend to have really great protection scores. They don't impact your computer performance. They get regular updates, and they're also not super expensive. But really, you just have to go to av-test.org and test some of the top scoring ones, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, that's my tip from my IT days. If whatever comes for free on your computer, run away from it and find something better. Even the free versions of a lot of them are great. Like I've used Bitdefender free forever, as well as AVG, because it's just basic antivirus and malware scan, etc. Those free versions are great. They don't impact the performance of your computer. As you get larger and you have to have company policies, etc., you can upgrade into their business plans, and they're great in that way. So that's all I'm going to share there. I don't think we need to spend much more time there at all.
Nope. Protect yourself.
Next one. Yeah. Video conferencing. And there's a couple different ones here. Because there's like webinars, there's recording a video, there's also live video calls. So yeah, where are you at on those?
So if we're talking about just like video meetings, I use Google Meet. It's part of my business suite. So it works really well. We all know Zoom is another option for that. Zoom is also another option for webinars and, some of those other things that you want to do. As far as webinars, I've been on Demio. It's worked well, but I'll let you talk about yours that you're kind of introducing me to that I may end up checking out. But I have like Demio. It has done really good, and I know it's used in a lot of webinars that I've attended. And then you mentioned a third one, and now it just slipped my mind.
The GoToMeeting, WebEx. There's all those that exist.
Oh,
too,
you were talking about and I don't think we have this on. Maybe we do. Maybe we're gonna get to the video recording part. So.
Live streaming, you mean?
Yep. Well.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah. Go.
Anyway, I'm with you. Live video calls, video meetings. It's Google Meet all day long. If somebody else has got a Zoom account and they want to use it, I'm totally there. It's great. I'm not a big fan of Microsoft Team calls or like GoToMeeting. It just feels very, very clunky. Like Cisco WebEx, like they're all very, very clunky. If you're a company that needs a lot of permissions and like rules on things and protection, then those might have great features for it. But for smaller companies, that's not really a big issue. Then Google Meet, Zoom are great. For webinars, I reviewed Demio and I thought it was really great, actually. I mean, you get quite a few, depending on the plan you're on, you get a good amount of seats. They record all the episodes. You can do replays, all of that. That was really cool to see that. What's your favorite feature in Demio right now?
I actually like the ease of setting up the webinar. So I can have the registration very easily. I can add all my materials. I can add polls. Like I can have everything I want for that webinar preset.
Yeah.
And we can also set like custom email reminders ahead of the webinar and a custom thank you. So I like that ability to kind of just manage the whole thing in one place. And it syncs with ConvertKit. So it's auto building my list and I can create tags for each webinar. So I can have one specifically if they attended and put them in a funnel. I can have one if they didn't attend and put that in a different funnel. So
fun.
That connection is really, really nice.
That's a native integration? They just natively. Oh, that's great. That's really cool. Yeah, native integrations are wonderful.
No zaps required.
Yeah, no zaps. Exactly. That was the piece. We use zaps. I'm going to get to this. But we are now, as I said at the top, doing our first webinar ever. It should be tomorrow. And it's September 18th. And it's going to be using StreamYard. This was a new kid on the block about right before the lockdown of everything. So 2019, 2020, StreamYard was kind of the new kid on the block. All they did was live streaming. They didn't actually have webinars or pre-recorded stuff or anything. You could only do live streaming. What was cool about the platform then, and still exists, is that you could stream to multiple platforms at the same time. So you could stream live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on Instagram, live anywhere that allows live. You could do it all at the same time, which was really, really cool. And they still allow that. So that's one thing, one reason we went with StreamYard. But we're using the webinar piece, and it's got similar stuff. You can record the webinar for access and post live viewing. Does the whole registration management and everything. So we'll see how it goes for the first one. Being honest, we're recording this right now in StreamYard. We're not really putting the video out, but we're just testing around and seeing how it goes. So we'll see how that is. I'll say setting up the webinars is also pretty darn easy. You pretty much put in title, description, time, and do you want registration or not? The one thing I wish it had, and I don't know if Demio does, can you add custom questions to the registration?
Oh, I think you can.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
No, I don't think I've done it, but I'm pretty sure that I see that as an option.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Right now, we can't. We can't do that. One of the drawbacks. Also, I know some of these platforms have cool tools. Like I know in Zoom, like you can have like questions that go out for polls and all this other stuff. I don't think that StreamYard has that. Their webinar system is so new. They don't have that. So I don't know what Demio has in that front, probably a bit more. So it is lacking in some features because it's so new. But that going live and then just being able to record video is so strong for us that I think that's why we went StreamYard over something else. But yeah, cool.
Sure.
really just like four categories left. Chat and communication.
So this one to me is our internal team communication. Yeah. So Asana has options, but holy cow, things can get lost so fast. Same with Google Chat. Like you have a Google Chat option, but things
we used
can get
to
lost
use it
there very quickly too. So we use Slack, free version too. You're going to find a trend that I have found the way to have a lot of free versions of the softwares we're using.
Totally.
But we actually have like they have hashtag categories within Slack, and we have one set up for each one of our clients. And then if we have a project, we have it. So if there's something specific going on, we go to that client channel. And so then the history for that client is all in one place, or the history for that project is all in one place.
Nice. Yeah. We use the chat built into Teamwork. And similar to Slack, we can create groups and all this other stuff. I don't think it's as extendable or as easy to add and remove people to groups like it is with Slack and whatnot. And yeah, we used to use Google Chat, but same thing. Things would get lost. Threads would get so long and you'd have to create a ton of new threads. And when people left the company or came in, like things just aren't as simple. You know, we might have to look into Slack. I've tried my hardest not to go that route because it's like I don't like fragmentation of platforms and software and everything. So if it's built in, it's there for a reason. Let's use it. So I don't know.
Yeah, like with me mentioning what we found in Asana, things getting lost. Slack also talks with that. It talks with every time we get a new signed agreement, we get a notification in a Slack channel. So the whole team sees like a new client signed and it triggers all of that workflow. And just like Asana works with Google, we can assign out tasks and then we can actually like from email into Asana and then also have a Slack kind of created. So ours are integrated enough that it's working really well.
Oh, that's neat. So basically, our big thing with Teamwork is like if it's a message related to a task, that should go as a comment on the task so that the context is all there. Are you saying that with Slack, just so I understand this a bit better, is that Slack will pull that but take it into a Slack channel for you somewhere?
Yeah, but I don't think it's doing it natively. So don't quote me on this.
Gotcha. Okay.
It may be a Zap that got set up, but
fair enough.
I have people that do some.
No, totally. Oh my God. Yeah, totally. Oh man. Yeah.
So don't ask me about the technicalities.
No, I know. I put you on the spot. About a tech thing that like somebody else built. So no, totally. We'll have to chat about that more because
But there
really,
are
really
a lot of native things that are happening naturally. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Without Zaps.
Video recording. Yeah, I just think time to time people want to record like a walkthrough or a quick message to a client, or I do this all the time when a client isn't available to meet or they miss the meeting for whatever reason. I just send them a recap instead of rescheduling. I send them the video of here's what we were going to cover and everything. Here are my questions, and I send it all in an email to them. What do you use for that kind of thing?
I live and breathe in Loom. So the Loom screen recording, we have Looms for almost all of our processes. We have Looms. I do all of my proposals in Looms and they get sent out that way. Questions or answers between the team. So to sometimes avoid a meeting, like they'll Loom me the question, I'll Loom them the answer, and then it kind of stays living with that task. So if anybody else runs into it, oh my gosh, I don't know what we would do without it. We utilize it so heavily.
Nice. Yeah. Sometimes I use Loom, but recently because Google Meet actually allows recording, I've been using that a lot. Just launching a solo Meet, clicking record, sharing my screen in, and then we categorize everything into our Google Drive folders for our documentation and assets. And so we've got walkthroughs as well as client meeting videos, just all in there.
Ours are all linked in Asana.
There you go.
With the task,
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. AI. I know everybody's like, how have you not talked about AI yet? So yeah, what are you doing here?
I just use Chat GPT. Like I enough in the AI world that I know that it helps me get on a creative path when I need something to kind of like push me. And just, for quick information, I don't copy it at all. I know that's a big no-no, so I don't do it. But that's kind of the extent of my AI branch out.
Yeah. ChatGPT, Google Gemini for us is a big one. Mostly because Google Gemini does a lot. It does graphics as well as text, although it doesn't do people. Ever since the whole snafu with the founding fathers, they're slow rolling that one back out. But use both. I mean, we've done Midjourney and what was Dolly for graphics. And I think we like Midjourney more. We don't do a whole ton. Canva, believe it or not, has got a lot of AI in it for graphics, which is really, really cool. So it's mostly through Canva. Otherwise, if we need something different in that way. But Google Gemini has been great. It's been helping me edit my book. So it's been helping me on the grammar, word choice, and continuity front, which is really neat.
Awesome. I know it's been amazing to see AI coming more and more popular in a lot of the softwares we're using. Like Loom has a whole AI piece to it now. You mentioned Canva. There's just a lot that are really starting to utilize that, which is, it's good.
The one thing I really want to use it for that I haven't yet, and I mentioned it before, is deep analysis, taking marketing data and being like, hey, give me nuggets out of this, where a human doing it might take hours to get the data right and everything. Giving it to AI, it's just there and done.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So mileage tracking is on here. I think now we're going to get into a couple others, a couple offshoot ones. So yeah, mileage tracking.
This is on because we get asked about this a lot. How do I keep track of my business mileage, for reimbursement or, for tax purposes? And Mile IQ is our app recommendation for that. It kind of just tracks as you're driving. You swipe one way if it's personal and the other way if it's business. And it just keeps a log, and it's IRS compliant logs. It's not super expensive and you don't have to think about it. You can just download that report at the end of the year, give it to your tax person, and bada bing, bada boom.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about mileage. That was cool. That's the only one. If I get there, that's what I'd use. I wanted to talk about my Remarkable tablet. I love this thing. It's not software, but it's really awesome tech. If you're the type of person that like I used to be, is you have notebooks on notebooks and you're constantly taking notes in meetings, etc. And then you reach that point where it's like, oh, I'm 4 notebooks later, but I don't remember which one had those notes in it. That's why I love my Remarkable. It's just literally a not glorified. It's like a super souped up Etch-a-Sketch. And all it does is handwritten note taking. It can sync with your Google Drive, your OneDrive, your Dropbox for documents. You can mark up PDFs. I've even had NDAs and contracts that I'll load in here, or I have on here already. Well, I'll just duplicate them and handwrite in things, and then have clients and me sign them, and then email them directly from the device. So we can actually get stuff rolling without having to go anywhere. It's just been really cool without having to load up a computer or whatever else. And all my notes are in one place, syncs to all my devices. I friggin' love it. I'd go insane without it.
Dan's emotional support tablet.
It really is. It really is.
No, I say that with all good humor because
I know
you have it. I mean, anytime we are meeting or doing anything, you have that tablet.
I always have it, yeah.
And I'm always like, why don't I get one of these? It's so smart. It's so convenient. It's so organized.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I've seen of it, just of what you use it for, wonderful recommendation.
Yeah.
I do love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sweet. I don't have anything else. Do you? Any notable mentions you want to add in?
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah, man, this has been a doozy of an episode. If you made it this far, you deserve a trophy. I don't have one for you, but you definitely deserve one. You made it. I think this is our first hour-long episode, over an hour long. That's crazy. So much awesome stuff in here.
Well, it's all the things we always get asked about too. Like what tech do we need as a business owner? So, we have trialed and errored with a lot. We've had clients that have trialed and errored. So this is the list that kind of compiles all of those learning experiences. And it doesn't mean that we found the best one yet. So, I mean, if listeners have recommendations, we'd love to hear what some of your top tech is.
If we missed a topic, a category, by all means, shoot us an email, send us a message on social, or leave us a voicemail on the website, whatthebiz.com. We'd love to check out some new tech and see if it could make our lives better or other listeners' lives better. That'd be sweet. You got an idea for another topic for us? Let us know. We're always open for them. And so thank you to those who asked us questions about, hey, but what do you guys use? Because that really inspired this episode because we didn't share it because we knew it would take an hour. That's why we knew this would take.
And we already had a doozy of an episode for that one. It was a good.
I know we did. It was longer too. That's crazy. So I promise future episodes will be a bit shorter. But I just think if you no idea what to use, this has got what you're looking for. So thanks for joining us today. Leave us a review wherever you're listening. That definitely helps the algorithm gods. Share this out. If you know somebody that would like recommendations of what tech they should be using, share the episode. That's really great. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.